Hello, good morning, and welcome to another audio video here on Pretty Privilege. I'm Tenemane, and you already know what I'm going to be talking about today. Here on my channel, I typically love to dive into the topic of conversation, and today's episode is no different. Now, some of us are taught to not judge a book by its cover, but when in reality, there are many reasons as to why we judge what we judge and who we judge, right? However, in this audio video, I solely focus on the judgment of females from other females and why we should not be judging each other. Let's get into it. Number one, I believe females should not judge other females because it's not nice. Number two, there's already enough judgment towards females that derive from society and the opposite sex already. Like when you really think about it, have you ever been told there's something that you can or cannot do because you're a female? Have you ever been called derogatory names because you've done something a female, quote unquote, shouldn't be doing because it's a man's job? Females have come a long way, you guys, since the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974. And if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's women having the legal right to open a bank account without a male cosigner. 1974. This was only 51 years ago. You know, there's people I know who are older than 51, so it's not that far away from where we are today. I believe a lot, and not all, but a lot of influences from society and men who are not healthy and who are not peaceful within their own lives have designated many ways as to how women should be and how women should act when in public and private. Much so to where it became normal for females to go against their own kind, to go against other females when they see, females different from them, girls from them, who are just different. Meaning, for example, society here in the Western world, at least, it's been believed that a woman needed to have a family and kids by a certain age, by age 25, 24, 25, really young. And if not, then that female would be judged by her peers and her own family, and that included women. Another example being is society also believed a real ideal woman must maintain a certain body and beauty standards. You have to be skinny with a flat stomach, hairless, like you have to have waxed private parts and waxed underarms, no body imperfections like cellulite, stretch marks, because if not, then that female would be judged or maybe even called names by men and probably other females as well. Let's look at another example. When you pick up a magazine, how many of you judge other females based off of her looks? When you watch TV or see something on your phone, have you ever judged another female because of what she has that you don't? Or felt pity or remorse for a female for everything she doesn't have? It could be a proper education or a loving family, but just the judgment itself. I know for a fact we've all done it. When you see other females in your day-to-day life, at the gym, grocery store, work, or at school, have you ever judged her by what she's wearing? Her body? Her appearance? Anything like that? You've made assumptions. I'm pretty sure you've answered yes to at least one of my questions. We as females have become so conditioned and accustomed to naturally judging other females, but when you truly think about it, for what? And most importantly, why? And on top of that, once you're done with your judgment or your assumption, good or bad, what good does it even do you? Or to that female you're judging? What good does it do to the female gender as a whole? Females shouldn't judge other females because there's more than enough judgment towards females that derive from society and the opposite sex already. This is why we should not judge other females. I'm not saying society and men are against all females, but I'm 100% sure that if females did not judge other females, the number of judgment towards females would decrease. There's already a certain number a female has when being judged by men, so when we start to do it to each other, that number increases. Listen to that again if it seemed a bit like logically complex, but it really makes sense. And in my books, there's no need for all of that judgment and or assumptions already. That energy that you're using for judgments and assumptions, remove it, cut it, and put that energy back into self. Turn that into good self energy. Number 3, we are more the same than we are different as women. I'm sure if you're a woman listening to this, there's been times in your life where you've been judged by other women, and you've also done the same. I've already covered that. And I'm sure there's been times you've been called names like crazy, radical, or my favorite, bossy. And it's because of the fact that we are females that we've been called those names. Because I can guarantee you, if we were men, we wouldn't be called those names. Bossy, mean, names like that. We're more the same than we are different as women because we just want a positive outlet to express ourselves. We just want to receive love because we know we're worthy of giving it. When we're not fully healed and when we do not love ourselves to the core, it makes us lash out in a hurtful way to other females and other people in general by wishing we had what they have. Have you ever heard of the saying, hurt people hurt people? It rings true as well in this situation, in this example. I'm guilty of doing this in the past when I was self-sabotaging my own life and wishing I looked like a certain female because I thought she was more prettier and more sexier than I was. I wish I had the faithful husband that one other female had because then my life wouldn't suck as much. I wish I had the businesses and the money a certain female had because then I would be completely happier and wouldn't have to work as hard. I wish I had a certain female's car because it's more newer and faster than my current one. I wish I had her amount of subscribers and followers because I want that attention for myself to make me feel more valued. I also experienced females who wish they had my looks, my body, my hair texture. I've had females tell me they're jealous of me because of the school I'm currently going to, because education is more better than the school they're at. And I'm like, really? I'm going to a public school. And I'm only going to this public school because it's close to my house. I've had females tell me that they've envied me because I'm a homeowner, or condominium owner, if you want to be exact. And they're not. There's tons of reasons, like the list goes on and on as to why females sabotage themselves and other females. But at the core, when you really think about it, at the core, you, me, us, females, it's important to realize that we're all the same in some way. We all want blissful lives. We want stability and healthy companionship. We want to be in love with ourselves. We want to acknowledge the fact that even though we're not 100% completely perfect, whatever that may be or look like, we're enough. We desire love. We desire honesty. We're capable of giving it and receiving it. But these are all day one desires that look different per person. We're taught how to judge and compare, but we're never taught how to not compare. And this is vital because either of those are not important. Comparing is not important. Judging is not important. Assumptions are not important. I like to think of each of our lives are custom made with the exact detail by the universe itself, giving us all of our own strengths and, weaknesses, but it's all just custom made within our own lives. Like how wedding cakes and clothes are custom made, but think of it in terms of our own personal life, our desires, our wishes, our needs, etc. Once I came to the realization that we are more the same than we are different as women, it made so much sense to not pass judgment towards females. Happiness and success, whatever that may be, happens at different times in a person's life. I had to stop wishing I had what other females had because it sent out a message to the universe saying I was not fully grateful for what and who it is that I have in my life. That right there wasn't good enough, and it wasn't good, period. because it made me take for granted my family, my home, and my life as a whole. I don't care what you say or how you look at it, but when your body has a feeling of wishing for something someone else has, you're not 100% completely happy with your own life. For some people, that's okay, but with me, I had to get aligned and restart my connection with myself and with women by knowing we are more the same than we are different, and that in itself is so beautiful to me. Number 4, easy and simple, and it's a reiteration of what I've been saying, but when women judge other women, I feel it's a depletion of our energy and our worth. Now, don't get me wrong, a compliment is fine. Like, I like your nails, that's a nice dress, nice fragrance. Okay, that's fine. But when it's too much, meaning more than 2, 3 compliments, it kind of gets a bit creepy. Now, when women judge other women or you hear a female talking about another female behind her back, that also to me is very repelling. I do not like that. And that sends me a signal that if this female is talking behind the back of a quote unquote friend, then she's more than capable of doing that when I'm not around either. Like, just gossiping, drama, talk like that. I don't like that. That female can talk behind my back, and I personally would not call someone like that a female friend of mine, or just a friend of mine in general. I've been in certain situations, for example, where I was talking to an auntie once, and the conversation turned its focus towards another female relative of ours. And then my auntie called that female relative a bitch. And rather than agreeing with my auntie, I simply said, well, that relative must have her reasons for her decisions, and good luck to her. I wasn't talking mean about her. I wasn't agreeing with my auntie, and I left it as that. I could tell that my auntie wanted for me to side with her and her opinion, but because I chose not to, that energy was a bit off for a few seconds. Another example is growing up. I witnessed this with my mother and her siblings. My mother comes from a huge Samoan family of 12. There's 8 girls and 4 boys, and my mother being number 5. And during family events, get-togethers, and even when my mom would be on the phone with her siblings, females in particular, they would just love to gossip about other family members and even about each other sometimes. And with me, like, the drama, it never sat well with me, but I witnessed how I became like that with my peers and with other females the older I got. Only when I began to do the inner work and healing did all of that cease to exist within my world, because when you engage in drama, judgment, envy, jealousy, it depletes our energy and our worth. It makes us circle around and give life to what doesn't need to be fed. All that negativity, all that judgment and malicious intent, those feelings and energies, they do not need any of our support. It felt, and currently it feels amazing to detach from that type of nonsense and to put my energy into what is beneficial for myself and for my daughter, and to also embody a drama, judgment-free life for both of us, because it gives me more of this amazing, happy feeling that I don't want for her or me to ever be a product of cattiness and any of that, so just to detach from it and to cut it out of our lives is a really good feeling. Number 5, if not one of my favorites, what, why, and who cares? I began implementing this philosophy whenever I feel a judgment begin to come into fruition, before I even think of a thought, meaning a reason to judge someone, a reason to make an assumption. I ask myself, what, why, and who cares? Right after thinking that, I tell myself we are all souls here on earth fulfilling our purpose. Judgment, good or bad, is not welcomed or needed. I channel my energy back to self. Unless you're a judge on American Idol or, a show like that, passing judgment towards other females is very, irrelevant. Number 6, we're more powerful when we're not divided. So I was at the library the other day, right? And I picked up this comic book and I seen a bunch of women superheroes in it, and it blew my mind because there was a lot of them. It was a list of different female superheroes and the power each of them possessed, from Wonder Woman to Mary Marvel, Invisible Woman, She-Hulk, Black Canary, Zatanna, Catwoman, Batwoman. It was like super cool, you guys. And it was a lot. But I was in awe because of how marvelous it seemed to me. We're more powerful when we're not divided rings true because they didn't have all of the same superpowers. It didn't mean one overshadowed the other. Same as with females today, just because one female can do what another cannot doesn't mean one is better than the other. And I feel that this has a lot to do with comparing as well, something that I'm guilty of. It wasn't until that I started to do the healing and the inner work that word comparing, the embodiment of comparing, really just fell off from my whole self, like from my mind, and it wasn't important. It wasn't relevant. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses, and that in itself is fine. It's beautiful. Comparing yourself to other females for who you are and who you're not, it's not good. And we don't do that here on Pretty Privilege. Tenamane, no. Tenamane does not do that. Same example, when I was a stripper working in the strip club, there were different types of females working. And when I say different, all colors of the rainbow, big butts, small butts, fake butts, fake boobs, real boobs, curly hair, straight hair, blonde, brunette, black, whatever it is, and however it is that you think a female can look like, you can also find it in a strip club. Period. The point being is that we all knew how different we were, and that didn't stop any of us from making money. We loved, the fact that we were all different because there was customers, who just love maybe darker females or white females or blondes or redheads. But most importantly, that didn't give us a reason to judge one another. And let me add on something else. During my time of working in the strip club, I experienced the least, yes, I said the least amount of judgment and comparison. And that's because all of us strippers already knew we were being judged by the customers. So it made zero sense to then judge one another. We're all in the same boat. We're all strippers or exotic dancers, whatever you want to call us. But we're all here just to bounce our butts and our titties and to make money so we can go home at the end of the night. It really didn't make sense to judge one another. And actually, there was a lot of times us strippers would turn around and judge the customers instead and talk about them to other strippers in the locker room because the customers weren't allowed there. It made it easier for us to tag team. Back to the topic, back to the reason. We're more powerful when we're not divided as women. We share commonalities only other women know, and when we're in sync with ourselves, we're not judging, we're not being jealous, we're more in sync with the world. The world is a happier place for all of us when we're being kind, and most importantly, when we're in tune with our bodies, when we're in sync, when we love ourselves, when we're flourishing. These are the reasons as to why I believe females should not judge females. 2 females, 4 females, from a female. I'm Tenamane. Thank you for tuning into today's audio video here on Pretty Privilege.